Hey everybody, it's Mother Theresa here. How is everyone doing on this beautiful Tuesday evening? I hope everybody is doing well on tonight. Let me just say this. If you have not invited someone to grandstand with you on tonight, this is your opportunity to invite someone else to join you on tonight. If you haven't gotten your favorite beverage, your popcorn, your snack, your dinner, whatever, you need to go and get that, okay? Because we're going to be talking about some good stuff on tonight. Let me see who is with me on tonight. Let's see who is here with me on tonight. First of all, I'm trying to see if my mom is here. Yes, I see my mom's here. My honey is here. I see Miracle is here. Everybody is in the house. They're where you're supposed to be. But let me just tell you, I need you to text some friends, some family members, and tell them, Mother Theresa is on. It's time to grandstand on tonight. All right, we're going to just jump right in and we're going to get started with grandstanding. I hope that everybody has had a wonderful, wonderful week since the last time that we were able to grandstand together. And I see, yes, I see Miracle. I see. So I hope that everybody has had a really, really good week since the last time that we were together. And let me just say, if you are, I see my daughter Net has popped in. All right, Net, I see the hearts. I see the hearts. So that lets me know that you are here. You are here. So on last week when we were together, if some of you all remember, you had a homework assignment. And your homework assignment was to either write a letter to yourself, to someone else, to make a phone call to somebody, to do one of those things. I think I gave you a lot of different options of the things that you could possibly do on last week. But remember what we were talking about on last week, what we were talking about on last week, and some of the things that we were talking about telling your story. And we said that some of us, our stories were not necessarily meant for other than the people, for those that are in our homes or maybe for our families. But then some of us have stories that are meant to be shared like on a national stage. And so what I was sharing with you all on last week is that I wanted you all to get into the practice of sharing your stories. Because let me just tell you, it doesn't necessarily matter whether you think your story is one for television or for your living room. We all have a story to tell. And what I want you all to start doing is practicing telling your story. Get into the habit of sharing a little bit about you. And when I say story, it could be, some of you all may say, I'm just sharing my testimony. Okay, well, if that's what you want to call it, your testimony, I am fine with that. But just get in the habit of sharing a little bit about who you are and the things that you have experienced. Because, as I said before, sometimes the breakthrough that another person needs is in your voice, okay? It's in your voice, and it's with you opening your mouth. So I want you all to get into the habit of doing that. So if anybody was able to share a story, make a phone call, journal, or if you did your homework, put in the chat, I did my homework, okay? And if you had a great outcome, and if you want to share that, just put something in the chat and let me know. And while you're doing this, I am going to go ahead and share with you all what we're going to be talking about on tonight. I know I've spent a little bit of time telling about that and kind of recapping for those on last week. And hey, if you're catching this on the replay, just because you're catching the replay, that doesn't mean that you can't get involved as well. Let me know in the comments that you did your homework, and tell me if you had success, or if you didn't have success, or if you were not able to do your homework. You know, sometimes we have to ask for an extra day on certain assignments. Well, I'm going to be nice and I'm going to give you an extra week to get it done. So if you did get your homework done, guess what? We're going to talk about it again next week. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about something that I started on Monday in my Monday motivation. And then I shared a little bit with you all on last night, or maybe it was this morning. But I shared with you all on Monday that I wanted you all to celebrate yourself. I know we just finished with Father's Day. That was on this past Sunday. And we were celebrating our fathers and our father figures and those, you know, special men in our lives. But I also ask that you would celebrate yourself. And I want to tell you that it's not selfish, but rather it's sacred. And I want to talk about the truth about self-care, about self-love, and about celebrating you. So if I were to ask you, when was the last time that you threw a celebration for somebody else? A lot of us could raise our hands and say, oh, I did that. I did that most recently. I did that for Father's Day, or I just had a celebration for someone, a family member or a loved one for their birthday. So several of you all would probably raise your hand and say that you just did, you just did a celebration for somebody. But if I ask you, when was the last time that you celebrated yourself? Some of us would have to pause and think, when was the last time that you actually celebrated yourself? Not because of your title, not because of the things that you have accomplished, but just because you are who you are. When was the last time that you celebrated yourself? And I'm going to tell you, some of us are going to have to think a little bit longer than others. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you and say, listen, if you watch one of my videos that I just uploaded, like yesterday, last night, or whenever, you will know that I just celebrated myself in a major, major way. And if you have not watched the video, it's probably going to be somewhere up in here or over here when we finish. I want you all to watch the video, okay? And I want you all to tell me what you think. Okay, Miracle said, I would honestly say I can't remember. Well, Miracle, I'm going to tell you, you're going to need to change that, sweetheart, because I need you to celebrate yourself. And let me just tell you, Miracle is wonderful in pulling together celebrations for her children, for other people. She does things that I have looked at and thought, oh my goodness, if I had the talent, if I had the time, the effort to devote to the things that you do, Miracle. You do an excellent job with all the different creative things that you do. I'm going to tell you, one of those times that you are creating this fancy, beautiful stuff for one of your children, I want you to create something for Miracle. And it's just for Miracle. Okay? Celebrate yourself, Miracle. You deserve it. You deserve it. Okay? Being a mom, being, in school, doing all of the different responsibilities, being an auntie, being a daughter, all of those things, a granddaughter, all of those different things that you have on your plate, Miracle. There is no reason that you should not be celebrating yourself. And although I'm talking to Miracle right now, I'm also talking to whoever else that's listening, that you, just along with Miracle, will say, I can't remember the last time I celebrated myself. You need to change that, okay? What I want you also to understand is that we're not just here to work. We're not just here to survive. We're not just here to give, but you are worthy of love. You're worthy of self-care. You are worthy of the celebration. And again, like I said, not for the things that you do, just because of who you are. So tonight we're going to talk about how self-care is sacred, how self-love is holy, and celebrating yourself is not pride, it is praise, okay? And that you're not too old, too late, too busy to treat yourself like God's beloved. And that is so very comforting to know, is that God loved us so much. If he loves us that much, baby, we got to love ourselves just as much, okay? And hello there, cousin Latanya. Listen, let me just tell you, if he loves us that much, we've got to love ourselves equally as much. And I say equally, I don't think I can ever love myself as much as God loves me. But let me just tell you, I'm going to try. And I want you all to be guilty of the same thing. So, you know, what I want you all to understand is that when you hear people talking about self-care and self-love and celebrating yourselves, a lot of times what will happen is people will try to make us feel guilty about the things that we are doing. And when you pamper yourself, and self-love is not just, and self-care is not just about pampering yourself. It's prioritizing who we are and the wholeness. Wanted me to let you know that you're with Mimo right now. Okay. All right. Thank you, Miracle, for letting me know that. Thank you for letting me know that. I know that you all are sitting there and listening intently. I'm glad that you are with Mama right now. But, talking about pampering and different things like that, I remember, or I can reflect on the times that my sister Cynthia, she was always the person who would take care of taking care of mom's pedicures and manicures and things like that. And Mama, just hold on, because pretty soon she's going to be able to do that again. Okay. But pampering yourself and pampering yourself is not something that is selfish. It's not something that somebody should make you feel guilty about, because a lot of times what happens is we begin to ignore ourselves, or we're taught to ignore ourselves until we are exhausted, Net. Until we cannot make it any further. We just keep going. We just keep going. We just keep pushing. We just keep pushing until we just collapse almost. And at that time, your body has been giving you signals that, hey, it's time to slow down. Hey, you might want to take a break. Hey, you might want to take a day off. Hey, you might want to take a mental health day. Hey, you might want to go ahead and take that vacation you've been planning. But what do? We push past all of that and we just keep going. It's like that little engine that could. It's like that little engine that could. We just keep going. We just keep going, trying to make it up that hill. But sometimes, you all, this is what I'm sharing with you all, is that you've got to stop and you've got to take care of yourself. We associate with doing, fixing, and making and serving. We associate all of that stuff with, serving others. But when was the last time somebody served you or pampered you or fixed something for you? When was the last time somebody did that for you? And then the bigger question is, when is the last time you did that for yourself? Okay. A lot of times, when I think about it, were we ever taught to really celebrate ourselves? No, not really. Because then when you think about that, we celebrate, let me take that back. We were taught to probably celebrate ourselves when we had accomplished something maybe big or major, okay? And if we accomplished something big or major, we were taught, okay, it's okay to celebrate. It's okay to go out and maybe go out to eat or do something like that. That's what we were taught. But we were not taught, hey, just because you feel like just celebrating yourself just because, some people may look at that and say, well, that's wasteful. We don't have the funds to do that. And I'm not trying to tell you to just go spend all your money and not be a good steward, but I am telling you all that you've got to learn to take care of yourself. Okay. Let's see. Um, and let's talk about real love, and it may answer the question that I'm seeing. Uh, okay. So when we talk about real love, Tanya, you know, one of the things that I will tell you, um, loving yourself can look like a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Okay. Choosing self-love can mean being taking a rest rather than running around and trying to do everything for everybody else. Self-love can mean talking kindly to yourself. Um, Not only talking kindly to yourself, but talking kindly when you want to say something else, when that negative self-talk begins to start trying to creep in, owning your own voice. And also, part of what I also know about uh, real self-love is that sometimes, you all, we've got to learn to forgive ourselves, not just our younger selves, but sometimes we got to learn to forgive ourselves even when, hold on for a second. What do you do with yourself when you're turning 50? I'm going to ask you a question. What are you doing with yourself right now? It's no different when you're 50 or 60 or 40. A lot of times what happens is that we allow society to tell us, what we should be doing at this particular age and stage in our lives. But if you are if you are trying to live your best possible life right now, then I would say it really doesn't matter what age you are. Again, I said life is not about just working, 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 working. We've got to learn to, yes, we got to work in order for us to survive. We've got to make sure that we have income. So I'm not discounting that. But what I am saying is that cannot be all that consumes your life. Okay. Sometimes when we're working and we are not able to take care of everything financially, maybe with our household expenses, sometimes we may have to get another little part-time job, or sometimes we got to cut back on the things that we're doing. Going out to eat, we may have to cut back on cable. I can remember many times, years and years ago when Boris and I first got married. I mean, we budgeted every single penny. Every single penny. There was a budget and we pretty much tried to stick with it. Did we always succeed? Not necessarily, but for the most part, we did. I've always known where my money was going. I've always kept some type of journal or something that will keep up with how I'm spending my money, because I've always been told that we've got to be good stewards over our money and things like that, especially if you're wanting to have or live a certain lifestyle. Okay, not that we were trying to live above our means, but we were just trying to make sure that we were able to take care of our children, we were able to take care of our home, we were able to do the things that we wanted to do. So guess what? If that meant me calling the cable company and saying, hey, what's a better rate? Can you give me a better rate? Can you, what do we need to do? Do we need to cut off the cable for a couple of months? Do we need to do what do we need to do in order for us to stay within our budget? So when that is the case, hello there, my Ebony. I'm so glad that you're here on tonight. And I know that you are doing your very best right now. And let me just tell you, life can be so hard and so difficult, you all. But I want to tell you all that when you are doing your very best, then that's all you can do. Okay? So don't beat yourself up about hey, I'm doing the very best that you can do, and it's still not working out. Guess what? When you're giving it your all, what else do you have to give? Okay? That's why I believe in praying and consulting the Lord about everything, the big as well as the small. And let me just tell you, a lot of the times that we are going through, Cousin Tanya, a lot of times when we are going through, if we just stay connected, if we just stay connected with our Heavenly Father, God will bring you out. I'm a living witness that he will bring you out. He will do some things that just absolutely blows your mind. Now, he may not do it the way that we want it to be done, but he will definitely work things out. And I know sometimes it seems like, hey, I've been in this struggle for a long time. I've been struggling for a long, long time. Okay. But I'm also a witness to let you know that trouble don't last always. And there is joy that will come in the morning. And yes, those are verses and lyrics to a song, to songs, but they are true. They are true in my life, and I know that they can be true in your life as well. So when you're doing the very best that you can, hang in there, Tanya. Hang in there, anybody else who's listening to this. Because guess what? Even in the darkest of times, you can still celebrate yourself, okay? Even in the darkest of times where it just seems like, hey, I'm never going to get a break. I'm never going to get a break. First of all, I'll tell everybody, stop, take care, and breathe. Take a deep breath, okay? Take a deep breath. Some of us are going to have to take more than one deep breath. I always say take 5. Take 5 and reset yourself. And just say it out loud. Say, I am proud of who I am becoming. And the reason why I say of who I am becoming, because even if you're not at the place where you want to be right now, guess what? If you're still breathing, you have time to change. If you're still breathing, things can change. But let me just tell you, things are not going to change if you're just sitting back. Okay? You're putting no effort into trying to make some things change. And I'm not discounting what anybody is doing. I'm talking about me and how I know that the things have happened, the truths that are in my life. And so when I say celebrate yourself, I'm talking to me because I've had to get to the point where I can celebrate myself. Okay? It hasn't always been easy. And I'm not here to tell you that it will be easy, but I'm telling you that it's possible. And that's what I can offer you, because when I say I'm grandstanding, baby, I am grandstanding about the grand things that have happened in my life. Now, the grand things that have happened in my life may look totally different than the grand things that have happened in your life. And that's okay. That is absolutely okay. What looks grand to me, you may say, or some may say, oh, Mother Theresa, what's so special about that? Well, guess what? It's special to me. And the grand things that is going on in your life, they may look totally different for me, but that's okay, because that's your life. But what I want us to get into the practice of doing is celebrating ourselves and grandstanding about it. So when things are happening, even if they're maybe what you might consider as a small step, baby, go ahead and grandstand about it, okay? Go ahead and share it with somebody else of the things that's happening in your life, because things could be so much worse. Okay. And we don't want to wait till it get worse. We don't want to, none of us really like to go through things None of us really like to go through the trials and the things, the tribulations in our lives. But guess what? It's part of living. Okay? So we're going to all have some mountains to climb, and we're all going to all sometimes be in a valley, but that's not your everyday terrain. Okay? That is not your everyday terrain. And let me just tell you, sometimes we can get comfortable in the valley. Yes, we can get real comfortable in that valley, where that valley begins to feel like, oh, this is comfortable down here. You done made your bed. You done got you a good old pillow. Some of them good old pillows that Aunt Carolyn has. Baby, you done got you a pillow. Speaking of, that pillow that Aunt Carolyn had was so comfortable, I had to come home and get me 2 of those pillows. So sometimes we can be in a valley, and I'm trying to make it where it's because this can get a little bit heavy, but let me just share with you all. Sometimes we can get in a valley, you all. We get our blanket, and again, we get one of those good old comfortable pillows, and that's where we make we make that our dwelling place. And we just sit there. 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 And sometimes we're waiting for somebody else to come get us out of that valley. Because let me just tell you this. Sometimes other people like seeing you in that valley. Because guess what? That makes you dependent upon them. Or they feel like, guess what? That as long as you're in that valley, I know where you are. I can come peep at you sometimes, but I'm not going to help you get out of that valley because I don't want you to do better than me. So some people are very comfortable with you being in that valley, and I don't want you to ever depend on somebody to come get you out. If you're in that valley, the only person going to get you out is yourself and God. Okay? So I need you to get comfortable with talking to God for yourself, and get very comfortable with being able to climb out of the valley yourself. Crawl out of the valley yourself. Whatever you need to do, you get out of that valley. Because let me just also tell you this. Hold on. The same way that you're in that valley, when you make it to the mountaintop, which most people think making it to the mountaintop is a good thing. And most of the time it is, okay? Those are 2 very different places. 2 very different places. And a lot of us are striving to get to the mountaintop because we've been in that valley and it's not a fun place to be. And so when you finally make it out and you start going up that mountain, I'm going to tell you from experience, be careful going up the mountain because there are some things that begin to change in your body. There is a shift that begins to take place when you're going up that mountain. And sometimes, you all, that shift is not always comfortable. Sometimes that shift or that going up that mountain can leave you absolutely breathless. It can cause some anxiety. It can cause you to be in a place where you don't feel comfortable. But guess what? We want to get to that mountain. We want to get to the mountain. And again, nothing is wrong with the mountain, okay? You just got to make sure that you are prepared when you get there. And a lot of times when we get to that mountaintop, when we're beginning to look down, hey, you got to be careful looking down, okay? Because the same way you came up that mountain, many of us are going to have to go back down, okay? And that's when I say the terrain is very different. Don't get too comfortable being in the valley, and don't get too comfortable being on that mountaintop. Ask God, where is your comfort level that he wants you to be? And that's what you need to strive for, okay? that's what you need to strive for. Now, the valley can be a very beautiful place as well, just like the mountain. It can be a very beautiful place. But let me just tell you, we live in a world right now where we're going to have some mountaintop experiences and we're going to have some valley experiences. So get to the point where you are celebrating yourself regardless of where you are. And that's what we're talking about tonight. I want you to make some room to celebrate who you are. You know, and sometimes the things that we do to celebrate ourselves, we always think, like I said, is it pampering ourselves? Is it doing this? Is it doing that? Well, it possibly could. Buying yourself some flowers, reflecting on the things that you've overcome. I said flowers. I'm happened to look out earlier today and see the roses that are outside my front door. But whatever it is that will make you feel good. Part of your assignment last week was to write a letter to somebody else. Well, maybe you just need to write a love letter or a letter to yourself, just congratulating yourself or celebrating you. It could be a letter that you write just to yourself of all the good things that you are so very proud of. And let me just say this while I'm talking about that. Sometimes we spend so much of our lifetime thinking about the things, the negative things about us that we are not satisfied with. And it could be our hair, it could be our face, it could be our weight, it could be a number of things, okay? All of these different things that we may say, well, I'm not happy with that. Well, guess what? There are so many of those things that you can change. You can definitely change. And for the things that you cannot change, then I'm going to tell you this. Learn to value who God created. What does the Bible say? We are fearfully and wonderfully made. So learn to value that person that you are, okay? Because loving ourselves, I believe, honors who God created us to be. And if we love ourselves, we are telling God, thank you. We're telling God, thank you. You did good, God. Okay? All right? Listen, you all, I want you all to, I know I kind of got a little bit off script tonight, but this is what I want you to do on this week. I want you to do on this week. I want you to do something to celebrate you. You're not celebrating your husband. You're not celebrating your children. You're not celebrating anybody but yourself. And mom, you can do this as well. I want you to do something, a small thing. It can be something small. Now, if it's grand, let it be grand. Because guess what? We're all about grandstanding over here. But do something for yourself this week. And I want you all to come back and I want you all to next week. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the grand things that you have done to celebrate yourself on this week. Okay? All right, Net. I think Net's understanding the assignment. I think she's understanding and Miracle's understanding the assignment. I see all of these hearts. So I think y'all are understanding the assignment. What are you going to do? Hey, if you already know, go ahead and drop it in the chat, in the comments. Tell me what you're going to do that you're going to celebrate yourself this week. I want you all to know that that everybody that's on here on tonight, I definitely appreciate you all coming by on a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock to grandstand with Mother Thresa. I try to give you all some good, tangible pearls of wisdom. And listen, if you haven't been catching me on the different social media platforms, you're probably thinking every time I turn around, she's got something blasting. She's got something blasting. Well, I do, because I have come up with a new little thing that I'm doing called Just a Minute with Mother Thresa. All I need is a minute. Just a minute with Mother Thresa. So you'll probably see some things that's on all of the different social media platforms. Yes, I'm trying to be everywhere, because when we start doing some grander things, and we begin to start telling our stories on a grander platform, I need the people to say, "Hey, I know who that is. That's that lady that's always talking about, Monday motivation, and hey, it's going to be a great day, and she's always saying something to encourage people, and she speaks from the Bible. She gives you some Christian applications to make our days better." Okay? That's my job. That's my assignment. Okay? So when I celebrate me, I celebrate the things that God has put in me. And the way that I can tell God thank you is by sharing what He has given me to you. So that's how I'm celebrating myself. Now, listen, I talked earlier about some of the videos that I just did. I think the one that probably posted on last night about my celebration of my with my perfume. I'm still smelling good, y'all. Still smelling good, okay? I'm still smelling good. So listen, that was my celebration for me. And really, that's not the end of it. I want y'all to stay tuned for the next couple of days. We've got some things that's coming up, and we want to take you all along with us as we prepare for vacation. And so, not telling you where we're going, just know that we're going to be doing a lot of celebrating. So, listen, everybody, let me start wrapping this up. And I'm going to just tell you, as my sister Cynthia says, and she says it so beautifully. Good night, grandstanders. I'll see you all on the next time. Listen, I just thought about something. And I know I stopped that in the meantime. But I want you all to understand that I want God to cover you all this week. I want you all to be able to see yourselves as God sees you. I want you to understand that you are loved simply because that's who He created. And I want you to love yourself in spite of all the negative things that people may have said about you, to you, and even behind your back. And I want to remind you that self-care and loving yourself, it is nothing selfish about it. And I don't ever want to hear anybody ever apologize for loving the masterpiece that He created, okay? Because He created you in His image. And when He was finished, He said, "Well done." So if He says, "Well done," then guess what? We're going to say, "Well done." Now I can say, good night, everybody. Good night, Mama. Yes, honey. All right, good night, grandstanders. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful night. And just in case you did not realize what I was playing, that is In the Meantime. That is TJ Culpepper, my grandson. Good night, everybody.